Good morning, greetings from Jerusalem, Jane, or good morning. It's around noon. It's Friday. It's almost Shabbat again. It's unbelievable how fast the week is running. I have to head out the door and just do a little bit of shopping. But before I do that, I want to give an update because this week began on Sunday with the news breaking that there has been a shooting attack in the old city. A Hamas terrorist came in from the area of East Jerusalem where he had been living. He was a teacher in a Muslim school in Jerusalem. He was preaching in the Al-Aqsa Mosque and in other mosques in Jerusalem. And he came into the old city carrying an M12 Beretta, and he started shooting Jewish people coming back from the Western Wall, having to pray it in the morning. One young man was murdered, literally executed in the streets of the old city. So another funeral took place this week where a Jewish family had to bury a loved one murdered in the streets of the old city in Jerusalem, in the holy city of Jerusalem, Israel's undivided capital, murdered just for being Jewish. Once again, we saw the Palestinians were out in the streets celebrating that yet another Jew had been murdered, handing out candy. Hamas made huge posters like they always do because now another martyr was to be glorified, which is absolutely disgusting. Other people were severely injured and were taken to the hospital, gunned down by this terrorist. The same day, a 67-year-old man was stabbed in the city of Jaffa. He was simply out taking a walk with his wife, and a Palestinian terrorist ran up behind him and started stabbing him in the back. And this man just pulled in all his strength and started fighting off this terrorist, and then he turned and wanted to stab the wife. So we actually had two terrorist attacks last Sunday, and now another Jewish family, just like I just said, was having to bury another one of their loved ones. Israel came together mourning another son murdered in a heinous terrorist attack. The Israeli Defense Forces, the Shin Bet, the security agency, and the police had been working together for months. And in the month of September, they started arresting Hamas operatives throughout Judea and Samaria. And that has continued. So within the last weeks, 50 Hamas operative has been arrested in Judea and Samaria. It was a big network. Hamas is not just limited being in Gaza. They are spreading out in Judea and Samaria and also in East Jerusalem. Like I just said, the terrorist committing this attack was a part of Hamas. So 50 terrorists was arrested throughout Judea and Samaria, and they were scheming and plotting, and they had all the materials for 4 suicide vests for terrorists to put on these suicide vests and to go into the heart of Jerusalem and to just explode themselves, suicide terrorists, like we have seen in the first and the second Intifada, where buses, restaurants, cafes were blown up in Jerusalem and throughout Israel. So, does your prayer matter? They absolutely does. You are the watchmen on the walls outside of Israel, praying against these heinous terrorist attacks that the police, the security agencies, the army is going to be vigilant. Is that how you say it? Awake, alert, always knows what's going on. And the good thing is they do. Most of the time they do. So as the Americans just came off Thanksgiving, I am beyond grateful that all of these terrorists was arrested before they could go in to Jerusalem and detonate these suicide vests, killing I don't know how many people walking down the street. It could have been me. So thank you so much for your prayers for Israel, for the soldiers who was putting their life on the line, the police, the Shin Bet, the Mossad, the Barak, whatever their name is, that they are doing such a good job, always trying to do the best in protecting us here in Israel for such a time as this. This week, I released the second blog in a new series that I have been starting called testimonies out of Israel. I have so many wonderful people following me on all my social media platforms. Many of them don't really know me, my story, who are you, where are you coming from, how did you come to Israel, what brought you to Israel. So when I post this video, I will share a link to the first and the second blog in this series. The first one speaking about standing against Yasser Arafat, called Meeting Yasser Arafat. The second one that came out a few days ago was called Against All Odds, speaking about knee injuries, surgeries, burning my face from the sun that nearly kept me away from becoming Jerusalem Jane. So when you have watched this video, please go and read those articles. I will also share a link to a GoFundMe. Still, as you can see, it's here. Suitcases are behind me. I have started packing. Here's the facts. December 31st, I am walking out of the door to this apartment. The only question is, where am I going? I am looking for new housing. I'm trying to raise the funds. So if you value my voice, my work out of Israel, this is a time where I really, really need you in order to find a new housing so I can continue to be that voice speaking out of Israel. So whatever you can do, big or small, please go on the GoFundMe. I will also share a link to a PayPal. Whatever you can do to keep me here being your voice, I will be so grateful. Shabbat Shalom from Jerusalem Jane. The new week, it's going to be Hanukkah. My Hanukkah miracle, my Hanukkah wish is going to be that God will supernaturally connect me to the people who has the keys to my new and safe home in Israel, in Jerusalem, so I can continue to be your eyes, your ears, and your mouth, sharing what's going on here. I had a woman writing to me saying, Jane, here's a little bit of money. I want to thank you for being the voice that I can count on. Would you also send a donation? I would appreciate it. Shabbat Shalom.